Australia attempted to protect young people by banning social media for those under 16, but a policy that can be easily ignored raises an important question. Was it ever going to work? Good morning, everybody, and thank you for the opportunity to speak today. My name is Diba, and today I would like to speak about an important topic. I'd like to begin by asking a very important question. What happens when a government tries to solve a problem without listening to the people most affected by it? Back in October 2025, I gave a speech at the Childhood Summit. I shared my opinion on how the social media ban would most likely affect those under 16. And surprisingly, I was wrong. I painted a picture of how the world would be, isolated and lost. I said online friendships that mean the world to people would fade because of the lack of connection opportunities. I said that schoolwork would be harder because of the lack of platforms available to those under 16 after the ban. All of this sounded like torture because losing things that mean the most to you is never fun. I also spoke about how even though the ban would be difficult to bypass, some people would still do it. And that's where it went wrong. The ban wasn't difficult to bypass at all. No one in my grade's social media accounts got taken down, and for those people who did have their accounts taken down, they just made another one. All of this sounded I thought it would at least require some ID, but this wasn't the case at all. Making a new account was the same as before. I also thought schools wouldn't use YouTube to help anymore, but they only implemented this rule towards the end of last year. All my teachers still use it. In fact, I was just assigned to watch an hour-long documentary on YouTube a couple weeks ago. So I was wrong. Friendships didn't fade, accounts were not taken down, verification was not needed, and schools are still using it. But I'm not wrong when I say this. It was a waste of money. How is it a waste of money? Well, first of all, it did absolutely nothing. But second of all, I've seen many people above the age of 16's accounts also being banned. The government spent millions of dollars just on advertising and preparing the ban. About $14 million on public awareness, $14 million just to spread the word. Industry analysis suggests that social platforms may need to spend tens of millions of dollars on banning all accounts under the age of 16. Around $53 million or more just to comply with the new rules. So they spent approximately $67 million for this ban that did nothing. Instead of focusing on what didn't work, I want to focus on what could have worked, because that's the part that actually matters, and that's the part that actually could have made a difference. If that $67 million had been used properly, it could have completely changed what support looks like for students, not just in one school, but across the country. Not just something that sounds good in a policy, but something that students actually feel every single day when they walk into school. Right now, support is limited, and in some cases, it barely feels accessible at all. At my school, we only have one guidance counselor for hundreds, even thousands of students. That means support isn't consistent, it isn't immediate, and it definitely isn't enough. It can feel like you have to reach a certain level of struggle before you're noticed, and by that point, things are already worse than they needed to be. With that level of funding, they could have been completely different. It could have meant having enough counselors so that students don't have to wait weeks just to talk to someone, so that asking someone for help doesn't feel like a big decision, but just a normal part of taking care of yourself. It could have created a system where support is available earlier on, not just when things get serious, because early support is what actually prevents bigger problems later on. And it's not just about having more counselors, it's about what those counselors are able to do. With proper funding, they could run regular sessions, check-ins, and programs that actually stay consistent throughout the year, instead of being overwhelmed and only being able to react to the most urgent situations. And even when they are reacting to the most urgent situations, usually when you go to the guidance counselor, you don't do anything except just sit there so you can chill out, but they don't help you at all. That alone would already make a huge difference, but it doesn't stop there. Teachers could have also been a huge part of that change. With proper training and resources, teachers could have been better equipped to recognize when a student is struggling, not just academically, but mentally and emotionally. Because teachers see students every day. They notice changes, they notice behavior, they notice when something feels off. But noticing isn't enough when you don't know what to do next. With the right support, teachers could step in earlier, guide students in the right direction, and help them connect to the support they need before things get worse. That creates a system where students are supported from multiple directions, not just relying on one overworked counselor. And beyond direct support, that funding could have been used to actually reduce the pressure students experience every day. Because stress doesn't just appear out of nowhere, it builds up from expectations, workload, social pressure, and the constant feeling of needing to keep up with everything at once. That's something almost every student experiences. So instead of trying to remove one part of students' lives and hoping everything improves, that $67 million could have gone into helping students manage that pressure in a healthy way. Whether that's through better academic support, time management programs, or even just creating a school environment that understands what students are dealing with more than just grades. Real improvement doesn't come from banning things, it comes from giving people what they actually need. Thank you.